The NFL's on its way back overseas, which means 9:30 a.m. football for us on the East Coast. I'm thrilled about it, and we're going to talk about Vikings, Jess. But first, I want to talk to you about a special that we have at Wager Talk this week. It's 7 days of all-access service for just $77. All sports. It's the best time of year to take advantage. We have October is one of the busiest sports months of the year. We still have baseball going, NFL, college football, WNBA playoffs. I got the Korean baseball playoffs going, and you get all of it all at one low rate. On a discount, comes out to about $11 a day. So check that out, and check out my my other standalone videos. We're on a really nice run with these 3-0 for the standalone videos. Last week we hit Titans, we hit Bears, and we cashed North Carolina plus 2.5 in college football. And then Milwaukee Brewers game 2 was the winner last night. So we've got 4 in a row for these. I just released a free college football video that you can find over on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. And we're going to talk about NFL here and try to nail another NFL game. And we're going to head to London for Jets Vikings. I thought I would be coming on here a couple days ago. I thought for sure I would love the Jets in this game. Coming off of that ugly loss to the Broncos, suddenly they're catching points on a neutral field. But the more I dig into this matchup, the more I guess I have concerns with the Jets. But the better the total is looking here. So I'm going to pivot and talk about under 40.5 because that's kind of how I see this game playing out. The Vikings have just been outstanding. They've been one of the most impressive teams in the NFL this year. You've got Sam Darnold playing at an extremely high level. But really, it's been elite offensive line, fantastic defense for the Vikings. They have playmakers on offense. So as good as Darnold has been, I don't know that he's just become like this game-changing quarterback, but he's in like a well-oiled machine right now. And specifically that offensive line, which has been as good as any offensive line in the league. And so let's start there because the Jets, for as good as they are defensively, they do not defend the run well. They have not defended the run well so far this season. You have to imagine that they're not having Hassan Reddick there has hurt. And, I don't see a scenario where the Vikings aren't getting some push up front in this game. Their offensive line has been elite all season. I think they're going to be able to create some holes. And, I think what that allows the Vikings to do is get a few yards per carry and move the chains that way rather than having like Darnold trying to throw against what is a very elite secondary. Because for what the Jets have lacked in, their ability to defend the run, the secondary has still been fantastic. So Jets not necessarily a bad defense, but they've struggled against a run. And I think the Vikings can exploit that. And I think they can exploit that in the fashion of, moving the chains, sustaining drives, possessing the football, all things that, should kind of, keep that clock running and should help this game, stay under, and just from the standpoint of like limiting possessions, longer possessions, et cetera. Now, on the other side of the ball, the Vikings have the number 1 defense in the NFL right now. Brian Flores has been tremendous. He's done a fantastic job with that defense. And I believe they're the, pretty much across the board on all metrics, either number 1 or number 2 in most defensive metrics. I don't have a problem calling them the number 1 defense coming into week 5. Aaron Rodgers probably has a better game than he did last week. I mean, that was just a terrible performance by the Jets all around. But I don't know that that's a given because I'm really concerned with some of the chemistry that I'm seeing with this Jets team. Aaron Rodgers with his receivers, Aaron Rodgers with his head coach. They just don't look like they're on the same page, and that's not what you want going up against Brian Flores at this point, who has had this Vikings defense prepared for every wrinkle they've seen this season, and really no one has had a great game against them at this point. So, if theoretically the Jets' counter to that would be to try to play through Breece Hall, establish Breece Hall. But again, if you're like the under and you need under 40.5, I don't think you have a problem with that. If Hall is the one sort of, kind of moving the chains, or again, probably a slower game. They're going to be forced to finish off drives. They couldn't last week, and it's not going to be easy to do that against Flores this week. So you mix in a couple field goals, and suddenly that under 40.5 looks really good. Something super interesting that I thought came up a lot after the loss for the Jets last week is Robert Saleh is now 2-7 off of extended time to prepare. Of course, the Jets played on Thursday, so they had 10 days to prepare for a home game against the Broncos and managed to put out one of their worst performances, maybe of Saleh's tenure, certainly a worst performance this season. And, that was off extended rest at home. So I'm not saying that there's a parallel here, but right now you've got a team with no chemistry that has struggled in preparation in certain spots, and you're asking this team to travel internationally and go play a game in London. I just don't know if this is where all the issues get fixed. And that would be my concern, would be, kind of thinking that the Jets just magically bounce back when it's not necessarily the easiest spot to do so. You're facing an elite defense. You have to travel to London, play in a Tottenham Hotspur stadium, just a foreign atmosphere. I don't see how everything just gets fixed over the next 6 days for Rodgers, his rapport with his receivers, his relationship with his head coach. It's that those are all, I guess, concerning to me. Again, when you look at those two things together, it's hard to believe this is a shootout. I don't have the numbers for international games in front of me or London games in front of me right now. But I do think some of that stuff gets to be anecdotal anyway. So it's not like fully my concern. But what I will point out is what I think is more important: foreign environment, international travel, the clear sort of disconnect in the Jets offense right now between Rodgers and his coach, and the fact that you're going up against the number one defense in the Vikings. And then on the flip side, the Vikings' elite offensive line, their ability to run the ball, and the fact that Jets have struggled defending the run this year. All of that to me suggests longer possessions, potentially needing to like maybe bend but don't break a little bit, because again, the Jets secondary is very solid. The Vikings defense has been excellent. I see a game where there's longer possessions. I think we get some field goals mixed in. And when you consider that, if that's going to be the case, usually any total on the right side of 40 is going to hold up in these NFL games. So under those circumstances, I probably make this number more like 37 and a half. So I do think you're getting a little bit of line value with 40 and a half here for the total. And so that's the way I like this one. Jets, Vikings, my pick here is going to be under 40 and a half. We have been red hot with these YouTube standalone NFL videos across all sports. So please like and subscribe and go check out the Wager Talk YouTube channel because I've got one up for a college football game this weekend. And let's see if we can stay hot with these. Jets, Vikings under 40 and a half. Check out that great special over at Wager Talk. That's up on my page right now. 7 days of all access for just $77. And I hope everyone cashes all their bets in NFL Week 5. We'll see you guys next week.